Despite the influx of SUVs in our local market, the subcompact car remains to be a popular choice. And amongst subcompact cars, there remains to be a popular contender. The Toyota Vios has sold like hotcakes ever since it was released. But what does it have going for it? Is it only popular because of its badge? Toyota has earned a reputation for reliability and dependability. And while that alone appeals to a wide audience, let's see if there's anything else this car has to offer to keep it a worthy contender in the ever-growing subcompact car segment. Up front, the new Vios is far from subtle. In order to veer away from the reputation of being bland, Toyota has slapped on a huge air dam with black cladding on top. It's the same story on the side as made evident with two strong body lines that could be more cohesive. The rear end is the most conservative part of the car and is arguably the best looking. These sleek and simple taillights actually give the car a more upscale look. So inside the Vios, there's obviously an abundance of hard plastics. But I'm not going to complain because you get a nice mix of different materials. You have chrome and silver accents here and there and piano black touches to complement the interior. What I don't particularly like is the use of fake stitching. Come on, Toyota, you're not fooling anyone. Overall, the cockpit has a really good layout because everything is ergonomic and easy to read. As far as toys are concerned, up front you get a 7-inch infotainment system, no nav, and no USB ports for charging your phones. You do get a 12-volt socket though. What I really like about the interior is that despite being a subcompact, you get good padding on the armrests, and you also get a good armrest in the middle, which is something you don't usually see in subcompact cars. Another thing I like is how concealed the vent shutters are. Very well designed. Now, let's take a look at the back. At the back, there are absolutely no creature comforts here except for these headrests. No USB ports, no center armrest, but it is comfy and roomy. There's also a flat floor. The only thing that hinders space is the center console that should be placed a few inches forward. Worth noting is the fact that this is one of the safest interiors of a subcompact, as you get 7 airbags across the model range. It may not have many toys, but it definitely has all the essentials covered. You also get a large trunk and full-size spare. See the trunk space. Hey! How's it going there, man?
Yeah.
How's the space?
It's a good sleeping area.
All right. So, the Toyota Vios has never been about extravagance. This is a car whose goal is to get its occupants from point A to point B trouble-free. And it does that pretty well. To be honest, it's hard to find fault with this vehicle. In fact, I can only think of 3. 1, the clutch feels very weak, to the point that you have to mash the throttle a bit before you release the clutch pedal to get it moving. 2, the placement of the pedals, they all seem so close together. And considering that this is a track car for the Vios Cup, I'm not exactly sure how the drivers managed to heel and toe there, because the pedals are pretty cramped. And under daily driving conditions, the way that impacts the driving experience is that you lose your sense of balance because the pedals don't seem to align with your body symmetry. Then the third thing, and I think this is the biggest qualm I have with the car, is the fact that it lacks power under 4,000 RPM. The car just feels very lethargic. And I can live with the fact that a car struggles because most of the time we're driving in the city. However, the price you have to pay for that is you constantly have to shift at high RPM, and that takes its toll on your gas mileage. And considering how high fuel prices are nowadays, that's really gonna hurt. But there are so many things to like about this car. Overall, it's very convenient and comfortable to drive and ride in. But what came to me as a surprise is how good the steering is. It's nicely weighted and it gives you really good feedback. Plus the fact that this car tackles corners very well. It feels really planted, and together with the traction control, it grips very nicely. And that came as a big surprise for a Toyota Vios. So I could almost say that this car is actually fun to drive. So I guess the big question is, does this car offer anything more aside from the fact that it's a Toyota? And the answer to that is a resounding yes. Because aside from the practicality and the convenience, this car surprisingly handles phenomenally. And the ride comfort is just superb, which will actually exceed your expectations in terms of owning a car that is really meant to just take you from point A to point B. So has Toyota over-delivered in terms of trying to stay competitive in the compact car segment? Absolutely. Like many subcompact cars, the Toyota Vios was primarily designed to get you from point A to point B. And for what it is, it over-delivers. Because you get features you don't typically find in a car at this price point, such as hill launch assist, traction control, and 7 airbags. Not to mention a spacious interior and an extremely comfortable ride. There are, however, some areas for improvement, such as the placement of the pedals. They're a little too close to each other, but that's a minor thing. It doesn't even impact driving comfort. It's just an observation. I guess the biggest area for improvement would have to be the car's lack of power at low RPM. And by no means is it a deal breaker, because overall the car's power is quite adequate. It's just that you have to spend a little more time on lower gears, which compromises your fuel economy. But don't get me wrong, even when we were driving it hard, we still managed to get 9.1 kilometers per liter, and that isn't bad at all. If Toyota could just tune the engine so that it delivers its peak torque earlier on, then that would make the car more responsive and more fuel efficient at the same time. But overall, the Vios is a great package. And to our surprise, it handled exceptionally well, and the steering was phenomenal. It was direct and nicely weighted. So if you don't mind owning the same car as half the population, then you're in for a treat with the 2019 Toyota Vios. Now that's how you drive!